You're listening to How to 20-something, the best podcast that helps both men and women navigate their 20s and learn how to adult across all aspects of their lives. We're going to focus on career, relationships, finances, fitness, nutrition, and all of the common challenges and obstacles a typical 20-something will face in this post-college life. I'm your host, Jess Diamond, and I am the CEO and founder of Jess Diamond Coaching, where I help young professionals get their shit together, gain their confidence, and own their life. No one prepares you for this adulting world, so allow me to help you feel like you are no longer a chicken running around with its head cut off, and that you actually know what the hell is going on and what your next step to take is. Welcome to How to 20-something. Before I actually begin, I feel like I need to say this episode is going to use the word femininity a lot, and for some reason my brain has trouble pronouncing it, and I feel like Nemo in Finding Nemo, where he's trying to say anemone, and he's like, I live in an anemone, and that's how I feel with femininity. So bear with me as I say that word throughout this episode. Otherwise, welcome back to another episode of How to 20-something, where today's topic is all about using your femininity to attract and not demand. I feel like there are a lot of conversations around toxic masculinity or being in your feminine energy, but we don't really talk about what it means to find the balance in both to attract the treatment you want and not demand it. And I'm not just talking about romantic partners either. This is any relationship from professional to familial to cordial as well as romantic. The best part of being in your feminine energy is that this isn't based on gender, but rather energy, which is what we'll get into throughout this episode. So yes, guys need to be in touch with their feminine side as much as women do, and arguably even a little more than women. But I'm really excited for this episode because Becca is bringing a unique perspective to this concept as an adventuress who is in a male-dominated field, but is able to remain respected and in touch with her feminine side. So, to any females listening who also work in a male-dominated industry, any 20-something who feels they are too young to be respected, and any man who worries that being feminine will dissuade girls from being attracted to them, listen up, because this episode is for you. Becca Ploener is a sponsored adventure athlete, podcast host, and feminine embodiment coach who helps outdoor-loving women turn their fear into power. With a background in whitewater kayaking and a deep devotion to cyclical wisdom, expressive movement, and intuition, Becca guides clients to grow their confidence and connection in the wild, both within and around them. She's the host of the Wild Women podcast with 99 plus episodes and the founder of Fem in Flow, a program to build self-trust in high-pressure spaces. Whether she's dancing on the riverbank or supporting clients through life's rapids, Becca's work is a call to stop forcing life to happen and start flirting with it. Hi, Becca, and welcome to How to 20-something.
Hi, it's so nice to be here.
Yeah, like I said, I'm excited to have this conversation, and I want to start with having you define femininity and maybe even include how our culture defines it versus what you feel it really is.
Yeah, so I think it's easier for me to start with how our culture defines it. I feel like when I hear a lot of when I make a post on social media about femininity and get a bunch of hate comments and shit like that, the classic response that comes up is stop bringing in gender to it. Some people will come at me as oh, you're dismissing trans rights and that, all of that stuff. And I'm that is not at all, that's not at all what this topic is about for me. Then on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, I'll have folks who are non-binary or trans or that kind of thing. And they're oh my gosh, I've never heard anyone talk about this topic in this way. That is not actually a gendered thing. It's an energy thing. You can be a feminine man and you can be a masculine woman and you can not identify as trans. So I really view femininity and masculinity as an energy, kind of you maybe have heard of yin and yang, or I think there's a lot of different cultures have this concept of feminine and masculine energy, and they call it different things. And so basically I think of femininity as finding a empowered surrender and also expression. It's a lot of expression and not it's basically the opposite of of hustle culture, the opposite of like, I have to do. It's everything is based on productivity. And so femininity, my definition, that is not a not a dictionary definition, is like, yeah, like the feminine is expressive, it's soft, it goes with the flow, it's adaptable, it's very not gendered at all. And it's an energy that doesn't work without the other energy. So like the masculine energy is a big part of the feminine energy as well. It's like, I describe it a lot of times. I heard this analogy from someone else. I have no idea where. It's the idea of like a cup. So basically, like your cup is the masculine energy. It's the structure. It's the container, and then you fill it with the water, and the water is the feminine energy. It fits into the container of the cup, and you can have just the feminine energy, and you got a puddle, or you can have just the masculine energy and you have an empty cup. But if you really want to take like a sip of water, sipping it out of just the feminine, sipping it out of a puddle on the ground is not helpful. And having just an empty cup is not helpful. So it's really like about having that balance.
Yeah, I like that analogy. It's a good one. My best friend and I talk about this concept a lot of like your feminine energy versus masculine energy, especially when we were dating, and then now even more so being in relationships, because we're both entrepreneurial, we're both very go. We both have that hustle culture. We have to do work all the time mentality, and that's just the way we naturally exist. So we naturally teeter on more of the masculine energy side of things. So it's really important for us to find a guy who's going to put us in our feminine energy. And I'll say her boyfriend does a really, really good job of doing that. Like always opens the doors for her, cooks every single meal for her, constantly buys her flowers, like showers her in her feminine energy. And my boyfriend, my boyfriend like works well with me because I personally don't think I have the capabilities to fully sit in my feminine energy. Just I am a full-time entrepreneur and she's not. So like there is that nuance, like that discrepancy of balances, but that we both experience in a different way. But it's very interesting to watch from the outside looking in of her knowing who she was before she met her boyfriend and how much she was in her masculine energy compared to now when she's with him. And I just see her like sit back and just be waited on essentially. So it is really, really interesting. And it's, again, not to say like this is only for females to be able to do, because we've also had the conversations of how we feel it is important for our boyfriends to be in their feminine energies. And that's also something we're not used to. I think we're used to the like macho masculine guy who does not express emotions, who is not in touch with any part of like their brain, their body, their ability to show empathy and express care. And that is something that we need. So it's like, yes, I am attracted to the feminine side of my boyfriend because I need that level of connection that he brings by being in touch with his feminine energy.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how you're kind of like looking at each other as like case studies in some ways of like, here's one example of how these energies like out, and here's another example. And I have constantly been attracted to guys who are very feminine. I think because I also am very in touch with my masculine energy, like also being an entrepreneur and just like being in so many male dominated spaces. I'm like, well, I'm one of the guys, I'm one of the bros. And I've learned how to kind of mold myself into those. And I've found for myself it's like actually a lot easier for me to be in that male, or not male, but like be in that masculine energy of like, oh, the structure feels safe. Having a system feels safe. Like knowing all of those things feels, I don't have to like, I don't know. I don't have to let go in a lot of ways. Letting go feels uncertain and chaotic and crazy and unknown. I don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of trust in the femininity.
Which is why it's important, because I'm that same way of like, oh, I can just get it done myself. That's me being in my masculine, and it's not healthy to be all in one or all in another all the time. So you started to talk about the balance with the cup analogy, but can you walk us through what that balance looks like in a healthy way for men as well as for women. So you can separate the two or you can combine it however you want to describe how people can start implementing more care around finding that balance and like what that looks like and how they can begin doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think before I can even go into that, there's like right now we've been talking about it in terms of masculinity and femininity, but there's actually kind of four categories where there is a lot of like books and resources and stuff on this topic. We'll call it the divine feminine and like the wounded feminine, and same for masculine. Um, I don't know if I love those words. It's like, wow, we're going into all of these charged words of like bringing God into this now, or like bringing religion, and then the wounded like trauma stuff, which I feel like can be a bit of a taboo subject as well. But anyway, I haven't necessarily found words that I love describing them with, but so I'll use those terms, the divine and then the wounded. And so basically the divine is like, oh, this is my highest version of myself. This is the most like healed, or this is the most like true version of this. And that's what we're seeking. And then the wounded, so like examples of divine feminine, that would be like you are able to trust in the unknown. I guess I'll talk in like I feel like I use a lot of metaphors in like adventure sports because that's so present in my life. So in terms of adventure sports like whitewater kayaking, for example, an example of the divine feminine showing up would be I was paddling yesterday after after my client calls, and I went to the river, and at the top of the biggest rapid I was like, all right, I guess this is an example of both the divine masculine and the divine feminine, because you can't really have them without each other. They don't exist without each other, really. So I was sitting in the pool above the big rapid, and I'm like, all right, I'm scared. My body is like heightened. I know that I'm about to like go into battle. I know that there is a lot of danger here. I know that there are people watching me. I, but I know that I'm capable of doing this. And so the divine feminine is that like, I don't know what's going to happen, and I trust that I can figure it out. I know that I can do it. And like, even if it is the most terrible line and I flip at the bottom, I swim and like everything goes wrong, I know I can figure it out. I know I can handle it. And that's an example of the divine feminine. If I was in my wounded feminine, I would leave the eddy and be like, I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a shit show, like probably going into all the worst case scenarios, probably. And then whatever we focus on, like that is way more likely to happen. And so leaving the eddy, leaving the pool above the rapid, I'm in my wounded feminine, and I'm like, okay, shit happens, and then I get into the worst case scenario, or some form of it's not going well, because my brain is looking for all the things that are not going to go right, instead of looking for all the reasons why it could go right. And I get to the bottom, and I'm like, well, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to fix this. Someone help me. And then you go into that fond response of like, I can't do anything. And I've been there. I totally have been there, and I still go there sometimes. Like, it's not, once you like heal, you don't like heal forever. Like, you are constantly like striving to remind yourself of your power and remind yourself of the divine feminine within you. And so on the opposite side of that, like the divine masculine versus the divine masculine and wounded masculine. So the divine masculine would approach the situation, and like these are the same. It's the same scenario, because I had the divine masculine in there. That is, I know I have my skills. I can lean on the skills. I can lean on my boat. I can lean on the support of my crew. Like, I have all these people that I mentioned were watching me. It's like, there's all these people that are there watching me. They are cheering me on, and they are there with like a rope at the bottom to help rescue me if I need it. Like, I have the structure in place to support me. I have the skills in place that I have given myself to prepare for this moment. Versus the wounded masculine would show up like totally muscling through everything and overcompensating everything. They'd be the ones like saying like, oh, I know exactly what to do and everything to do it, but then like not have the skills to back it up. I'm sure this like resonates with other areas of life that are outside of kayaking. It's just so helpful to tell it in a tangible story that's so recent. So yeah, that's kind of a description of the divine versus the wounded of both energies and how they play in together with each other.
Yeah, I think of the gym as my examples of like what would happen. More so feminine, like wounded feminine is damsel in distress. So you're just like, I can't lift this weight off me. Meh. Versus like divine feminine is just like, okay, I'm gonna go to failure, but I know that like the people around me are gonna help me get out of it, and I also have the strength and the form to help push the weight up. But then like once you were describing the wounded masculine is really where my gym brain turned on. It's like you have those like hardcore gym bros that they're grunting at everything and they're like, I'm gonna move this weight no matter how sloppy my form is, and it's gonna just go, and I'm strong and I have muscles and yeah. Versus like divine masculine is more of the controlled weight, and it's like, hey, I'm lifting the weights, like I have the form, I have this locked down, I'm doing my workout, I'm focused, I got this. Kind of, that was the way I received it based off of your story. So hopefully between the two, you guys listening can start creating your own examples for your own life. Because I know not everyone is going kayaking and not everyone is going to lift weights at the gym. So you don't know like the different personality types that show up in those situations. But I think given two different examples, you can start to figure out your own examples and how that would pertain to your own life, as well as just like how you see other people show up in their lives from your point of view. So walk us through how we can start finding that balance.
Yeah. So I actually like, I know this episode's about femininity, but I keep saying we can't have the feminine without the masculine. Like I, a lot of times will start with the masculine and I'll build the container, like have a system. That's where coaching comes is so helpful in my life and like in my business and in my paddling, like any skills that we want to build or any experience that we want to have for ourselves, having someone else with the system or having someone else as the example or the inspiration of like, oh, okay, it's possible for me. It's possible for someone. Why not me? So the first step I would say is finding something that you want to. I mean, I guess like it's hard to apply this just very generally without any specific thing that you're working on. So find something that you're excited about. Find some goal or passion or hobby that you want to work through and apply it to one specific thing at a time. Don't try to do it to everything all at once. That's just like your brain can't comprehend it. And create some sort of structure or commitment in some way. And so by having that commitment, it gives you like a direction to go to. And that helps you get into the divine masculine energy. And then once you have created this structure or you trust, you build like the confidence or the trust of like, okay, I know what I'm doing. And I know at least like what to do if things go wrong. And I'm not going to like a lot of times I'm talking about inherently risky things. And like even the gym can be risky and even like asking someone out on a date can be risky. So like kind of having your structure and your foundational skills that you're like, okay, I don't need to like over prove myself or overcompensate. Actually, I think even a step before I go into the masculine and the feminine is like the awareness of it. Just go through your days and notice the different energies. Notice yourself as you go through the energies. That's definitely the first step of I have a system I call the RISE system. And the first step is recognize. So, first step before you can do anything is like admit to yourself and become aware of what energies are present within you. And like the more honest you can be with yourself, a lot of times the hardest person to be honest with is yourself. The more honest you can be with yourself, then the more potential you have for change, basically.
I like that thought process. So topic of this episode is femininity, but more so than that, it's like the power of attracting and not demanding. So let's shift gears into that and like how your feminine and masculine energies come into play. And I think like for the 20 somethings listening, it might be in more relation to outcomes. So it could be dating, career, or friendships, I think are like the most common things that are coming up of like you're trying to, not naturally, but like a lot of times you find yourself trying to force the outcomes. Like you want something so bad for yourself and you're like really trying for it, but you're like banking on that specific outcome. You're banking on that first date to go well and lead into a relationship that is someone you'll eventually marry. You're banking on that one application you send in to lead to an interview to your dream career and then you're set. You're banking on going to one event and finding a girlfriend or like a best friend to have and just you click immediately and it's easy. And like we just want the results instantly. We want those outcomes in that moment. But I think that there is that difference of attracting, demanding, and forcing different outcomes to come into your life and like just how I want you to talk on that. Like how do we use our feminine energy and our masculine energy and the way we show up to not try to force these outcomes anymore, even though we know deep down we really, really want that thing to happen for us.
Yeah, this is so relevant to like what I'm talking about in my group program right now. It's so perfect timing.
Oh, good.
I just did a live, I think it was 2 days ago on my Instagram. If folks listening wanna go check it out, it's Wild Woman Becca, and just like message me that you're coming from this episode, and I can give me a little context, and I'll send you the direct reel. But basically in that live, I was talking about how like over the last year and a half, I have accomplished everything I set out for. And these were all things that I really did not believe were possible. I lost 30 pounds in the last 6 months. And also for context, I'm 27, so I'm in my 20s as well. I lost 30 pounds. I went from my heaviest weight that I've ever been. Like I had a lot of chronic stomach issues that I've had since I was 3 years old, and I resolved them as well over the last year and a half. Completely resolved. Like, yeah, I really did not believe it was going to be possible, but it happened. And what else did I do? I entered into a relationship, my longest relationship. I've been dating my partner for a year now. And I'm just like, we're both so in love with each other. And I was coming from such anxious attachment. I was so like desperate for love and partnership. And I was like, I want to meet the one. Like every single person I came across, I was like, is he the one? Like, is this the potential? Like, it was just so mind consuming, like everywhere. I was so in the wounded feminine of like I want so much and nothing is happening for me. And it was like very victim-y of like, I wouldn't have admitted it necessarily in that moment that I was feeling victim-y, but I was. And yeah, so I basically in that live, I reflected on all of these things because I very clearly had start points and end points to these things. I was like, I am committing to finding a relationship. And then like 6 months later, my partner and I actually ended up breaking up. We were having like hookup type stuff for like 2 years. And then I was like, I'm done. I'm looking for my life partner. I'm done playing these games. And I set a really hard boundary. And I was like, this is it. Like, I see myself with you, but if you don't see yourself with me, then I don't see myself with you because I see myself with someone who fucking loves me a lot. And we ended it. It was like, I don't see it. So we ended it, didn't talk for a few months. And then I was like, I fully cried a lot and processed a lot. And my best friend, I remember like crying on her couch. And she was like, you should definitely ditch this boy forever. Like, get out of that. Fast forward, I fully released it. And usually this is the hardest part to hear. When I fully release, when I fully trust that like I setting these hard boundaries for myself of like, I am only going to commit to someone who wants to commit back to me. That feels so scary. I'm someone who wants to be in control of everything. If you couldn't already tell, like the toxic or the wounded masculine is in me too. Of like, I can do anything that I want. I call it delusional dreaming, and that's like a great thing, I think, as well. We can embrace the wounded part of us too, and turn it into like awesome power as well. But basically, I was like, once I fully released, I was like, I'm done with this person. I don't want anything to do with anyone who doesn't want everything to do with me. He went to a wedding in California, and then he came back and like started texting me again, and I was like, what's going on? Why are you texting me at 10 p.m.? Why do you want to come over again? I'm not doing this. I said no. And then actually I went back on it and was like, no, we're having a final conversation. This is the last. I'm not doing this. We're not hooking up right now, but I want to just like set it straight with you. You can't do this. I'm not here for hookups anymore. And during that talk, he was like, I actually really miss you. And because I had like stopped, because I had gotten into that, basically I leaned into the divine feminine of, I set hard boundaries. I was like, this is the structure. And then I was just like leaning into the divine feminine of, the world is my oyster. There are so many possibilities. There are so many opportunities out there, so many fish in the sea, right? I know everyone says that, and I'm like, oh, fuck you. I don't care. Like, I want that fish. So like, I get it. I was just, like I said, I was like really, really wanted a relationship, but I really did see it as like, okay, actually, I'm going to date other people. I'm going to really see potential in a lot of other options. And my dream guy, like, I really believe, like, we talk about getting married. We're potentially moving in together in a few months now. Like, we're not getting married like now. We've been dating for a year, but like, we talk about it. We talk about kids. We dream about our life together. And he's not like sent away by all of these future planning or like things that would have scared off like a lot of other guys that I've dated, because they didn't want everything to do with me. And now he wants everything to do with me. So, yeah, I guess, the common themes that I found with all of these goals, with the weight loss, with the relationship, and I forget what the other, with my stomach pain, was like, I basically set a hard boundary and committed to my goal of like, I am only here for my dream outcome. I'm only here for the delusionally dreamy like outcome, and I won't settle. I'm not willing to settle at all. That I would describe as the divine feminine, or not the divine masculine, sorry. The divine masculine, the structure that I gave myself with that goal. It was very clear. And then because I had such a strong vision for the goal, and it feels weird even calling it a goal, like relationship. Like I didn't like
it's a goal.
Win him, but like
but you did, in a sense. Like,
yeah. And then the second part to it, after I leaned into the divine masculine, was because there was so much, like, it was so clear what I wanted. It was so easy to be like, no, I'm not interested. I'm not settling for anything. And that, I would say, is the divine feminine of the trusting, like, I can say no to a bunch of things and the right person will come to me, or will come back to me. And I'm not chasing. I wasn't chasing. And he just came and confessed his love to me on my couch, like right over there. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this happening?
So where does manifestation play into all of these different energies?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what I feel like. You're just like, oh, like, I'm not going to settle. But it's like, you have to know what you want in order to not settle for anything less. But then that's also like speaking things into existence, which is a form of manifestation. And because I asked that because that's something I did and then met my boyfriend. I actually think I met my boyfriend a couple days before, probably like 5 days or so before I sat down and manifested who I was looking for. And then we went on a first date 2 weeks later. Like he slid into my DMs after I literally, I think like as I was manifesting or right after I manifested, because I did like a little story. It was just like, oh, we're setting goals. And it was during that goal setting process is when I, for the first time ever, like pen to paper, manifested exactly what I was looking for in my dream partner, because 2024 I really tried for the first time. I really tried dating and to get into a relationship. It was a massive goal that I was working towards. It was something I really wanted. It was an outcome I wasn't trying to force, but I would find myself getting really frustrated with dead end dates and or just not getting any male attention and just fluctuating between all of that and going on dating apps and just all of that. So by December, I was done. I had just gotten rejected by a guy I had a crush on for a while. I was like, you know what? I'm writing down every quality, because I'd said it out loud before and I've said it to my friends, but I'm writing it down. Every quality I'm looking for in a relationship, like what I want the guy to have, those qualities. And I wrote it down, and that's the story he slid up on. And we talked for 2 weeks because he was out of town. It was during the holidays, and we had our first date. And off the bat, even before our first date, his communication was top notch of like, oh, I'm not going to answer for a little bit, I'm doing this, or like, oh, I won't be as communicative or as responsive because I'm going back to work now. It was just like things like that I was like, this means so much to me. And I wasn't even that interested in him at the start, which I also think was part of it. And part of why it ended up working out so well is because I wasn't forcing the outcome, which is what we're talking about. Is like, I was just like, this guy seems interested in me, I'll give him a shot. That was it. He's good communication. He works out. He plays soccer. Like we have some things in common. Sure, I'll go on a date. And here we are 6 months later. But it was something that I wasn't forcing, and it was also something that I manifested. And after we became official, I gave him my notebook that I wrote the manifestation in. And I was like, you're all of these qualities. Like you are this person that I wrote down. And he was just like, oh, that's really cool kind of thing. But so I want to ask you though, where does manifestation play? Like what role does it take in the not forcing an outcome and the being in your divine feminine, your divine masculine, and wanting things to go your way without having a chokehold on it going your way?
Yeah, it's really cool to hear your relationship story too, and to like, I've kind of like over the last week or so by studying my own case studies, oh my gosh, it's so fun to, I've started watching documentaries as well, and I'm like, it's so fun to kind of like analyze people like and how they achieved their whatever they were really trying for. And so I think manifestation means a lot of different things to people. For me, manifestation is, I come back to that delusional dreaming, like of like, I believe, like I also made a list. I I made the list actually.
Guys,
like
make a list.
when I broke up with my previous partner, my previous longest relationship was way back in like 2020. We were together for like maybe it was 6 months. Yeah, less than a year. And I remember I literally made a list. I was living in my car at that time, and I made a list on like the back of like the cardboard box of a beer carton beer box. And I put it in my car, like the visor that folds down. And I looked at it every day. It was like, here are the things that this partner, not necessarily that this partner wasn't, but that my future partner is for sure. And I don't know where that list is, but I bet Logan is very, it's pretty accurate. And that was a while ago. I mean, that was like 4 years ago. I met him. It took 2 years to meet him. But so where I go with the manifestation and the delusional dreaming is like, and the hard boundaries as well of the divine masculine. And this ties into the trust of the divine feminine. So tying it all together very well. When we delusionally dream or when we manifest, basically we believe there is no outcome in which this is not it. Like, no matter what happens, I'm getting what I want. It's just a matter of time. And so, like, by thinking that way, by thinking of like, I'm gonna meet my, like, what if you woke up, if this is something that you want, I don't need to do this anymore because I have I have like, I love him so much. So but like, what if you woke up every morning and you're like, I might meet my dream partner today. And then you're looking for ways that, like, you're looking for things that validate your dream partner, and you're not settling for less, but you're like, oh my gosh, like, what if I meet this? And then every failure, or like failure, people aren't failures, but you know what I mean. Like, every time we meet someone and we go on a date that's like not actually our dream partner, we're like, oh, they didn't meet this criteria. You can take what I mean from this. Actually, I don't mean to talk about people as checklists, but basically, like, every person that is not a right fit, and I remember hearing this shit before I've met him and being like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, I go on a date and it's like, okay, this was just one step closer to meeting the person that I love. Like, blah, 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 blah. Shut up. I've heard it before. And like, delusionally dreaming has allowed me to be like, okay, I actually believe it, like, fully. I'm not just like bullshitting my way into believing this. I actually I see how every single, especially looking back on it, I see how every single person I met taught me the skills that I needed to have to become my dream partner as well. And I actually did a coaching program. That was another theme from every single one of these successes. I went into some sort of support that held me to hold my delusional dream. And that inspired me that it was possible. So I went into I think I had already started my business and like had received coaching before. But I went into this program. It was my first, like, oh, I found them on Instagram and I like got their ad and I was like, this might be a scam. I don't know. Like, I'm just going to send you, but I really want a relationship. So, and I really like what you're saying. I watched their like video and I didn't talk to anyone. I literally just like, here's my money, $200. And I did a self-paced program called Becoming the One. I don't even remember her name, the coach. I wish I did, but it's called Becoming the One. And basically it's kind of like reverse manifestation of like, so I had this vision of my partner, but in part of the manifestation of it was, I also need to become the version of myself who is partners with this dream guy, because my current version at that time was not a match. So of course I'm not going to find him because I'm not ready for him. So I got to prepare myself to be ready for my dream partner. And that's why it took 2 years or 4 years between my manifestation and the actual thing, because it probably took me 3 years to figure out that I wasn't the match to my partner. It was me. I didn't want to hear that, but I did realize it eventually. And so kind of what I said earlier, like, the hardest person to be honest to is yourself. Yeah. So once I did that training, I don't think I even got through the whole course, but I was like, oh my God, I think like this is gold. And it's so possible for me to become the version of myself. And I literally, like, I'm so extreme. I love it about myself, but I literally was like, I think someone told me, I don't know if it was in that program or where I got this, but it's like, literally, like, set a place at the table for your dream partner. Like, make them dinner so that whenever they're ready, whenever they come into your life, you can just invite them home and you've already got dinner made for them. It's like in your fridge, and there's a place for them at the table, and there's a spot on your bedside table, and there's an empty drawer. It's like kind of ridiculous, but I was like, I am ready for them to come into my life.
I've heard the empty drawer. I've heard the plate at the table. I've also heard making room in your bed, so not sleeping in the middle. But honestly, I'm going to be honest to you guys listening. Like, I did not do any of that. I have all of my drawers are full. I starfish in the dead center of my bed when I'm sleeping alone. I don't sometimes I most of the time eat my meals out of a meal prep container, so like there is nothing for anyone else to come. But so it's I mean, if you I think it's one of those things like if you fully believe it will work for you, like do it. There's no harm in not doing it. I'm just giving you my reality is like I did not do any of those things and I am in a very happy healthy relationship, like something that I always dreamt of for myself and finally got it. But Becca, I'm so glad that you started to say like all the blah 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 like bullshit things that people say because I was gonna say it's so much easier to say these things being in a relationship, like outside looking into people who are single, who are frustrated, who want the relationship, and like that was me just a couple months ago. Like I have not been in a relationship for that long. I've been in it for 2025. Like our first date was on New Year's Day, so all of 2025 I've been with my partner. But it is frustrating. We do hear you, but it comes down to the forcing that energy or going into that divine feminine, which I think is something I did without even realizing that I did, of releasing the outcome. And it's not even to say that to the blah 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 you were saying of just like, oh, every failure leads you that much closer to your dream partner, but I did like what you were saying, where how every date you went on or every relationship you had been in, any interaction that you had taught you something more about yourself or more about what you were looking for in someone else. So I think that's the mentality to go in with it. And I was told that too while I was dating, but guys, I hear you. Like, it is still frustrating. It is really hard to date in today's world, and we are not discounting that. We're not here to flaunt our love in your faces. We are just trying to help you give a more tangible example as to where you can start to shift your own energy. If you feel like you are in that wounded feminine, that very anxious attachment style, and how to start to release that. Like maybe it's taking some deep breaths. It's there. I'm sure Becca has a lot of tactics that I'd actually love for you to share. Is like, how do we start to bring in, like on a more intentional habit building level, that divine feminine energy side? Because I think to a lot of people, both the men and women listening, like I think that is divine feminine energy feels like the hardest to obtain, at least like from my perspective. So how do we start to bring that out or to develop more consistent energy in the divine feminine side?
Yeah, I love this question, and I also feel that the feminine energy is hard for me to bring out in myself. I think I credit some of it to like we live in such a male I live in such a male dominated like field as well, with like literally I was kayaking yesterday and there was one other woman out there and like maybe 50 other men, and same thing like 2 weeks ago when kayaking.
I was at the gym. I was at the gym yesterday, and I looked around, and I was like, I am the only woman in this entire building right now.
Yeah, yeah, I don't notice it sometimes, but it's like when I do, I'm like, holy crap, no wonder it's easier for me to be in my masculine. Like, I think it naturally, like, we're surrounded by the masculine. That is what's glorified in our society. And I mean, the patriarchy, like, we like to use that word a lot, but yeah, so it makes sense. I just say that to say it makes sense. We live in a world of control and structure and like need to know everything before you do it. So the everything that I lead, basically, I try to start with first the awareness and then just like processing through the body. And so we can practice the feminine energy in a place that feels really safe for us. So like maybe this is practicing in bed, like before you go to bed or right when you wake up. And this is like, this can look anywhere, like you mentioned, from like a breath to doing like a full on meditation or like some listening to whatever your brand, like whatever your flavor preference of of woo woo thing is. Put on a YouTube hurts like video, but creating space in your life, because the feminine has a lot of chaos and uncertainty, and also like getting comfortable with that. And the feminine also, like, we think of the masculine as like it's the giving and the feminine is the receiving. And so if we are really, really uncomfortable with receiving, we're not going to receive. So this practice can just be give yourself space, like in the most simplest way, create space in your life. I go on a walk every morning to practice. I'm not doing anything but walking. I don't bring my phone. Sometimes I'm even experimenting not even having my Apple Watch on me. Like I don't have anything on me. And every time I think about something on this walk, I'm like, wait. This is not planning time. This is just gratitude, noticing my thoughts, noticing the things around me. And if I even want to take it a step further, or like I have this phrase called stop, drop, and roll. Basically, if I catch myself in urgency or in planning mode on these walks, I stop. I'm like, whoa. This is the point of this is to slow down. Stop walking so fast. You don't have anywhere to go but be. And so sometimes I'll literally like, okay, I'm going to walk at half the pace that I feel like I want to. I'm going to see you just like see the world. Just be present. So any way that you can slow down, create space, and allow yourself to receive, any of those practices will help you to come more into your feminine energy.
I like it. I used to be really good at taking what I like to call unplugged walks, and that's no phone, no headphones, like just my keys and I go. And I do it when there's so much on my mind and I really just need to take a break from everything. Like I'm feeling overstimulated, there's too much, like I'm stressed, like that. But I think this is a good reminder of I need to continue that practice. Like even if it's once a week and it's like a 20-minute walk, it's something short, something that just helps me to not be on my phone or have my phone near me, have me be unreachable for just 20 minutes. Because like I find myself always throughout the day, from the moment I wake up to going to bed, like I am either on my phone or my phone is near me or I'm talking to someone. Like there's constant connection happening, and connection is good, but too much of anything is not a good thing. So it is reminding myself, and I am someone who has difficulty receiving. That is something I've really, really struggled with. And I mean, like my boyfriend bought me a watch, and it took so much for me to be like, don't ask me if I want the watch. It's like, just get the watch. Because if you ask me, if you're off like, oh, I can get this for you, do you want me to? You're putting me in my masculine. And like, I'm going to say no because I have too much pride. And it's like, no, if I want a watch, I'm going to make sure I have the finances to go buy myself a watch. And he did end up buying me a watch. He was like, no, I got it for you. And I was uncomfortable with receiving it. I was like, why? Why did you do that? And it's like, I am grateful he bought it for me. But at the same time, it is something I have to learn and develop for myself. And even like going out on dates with him, like when he pays, like that's still something that I'm just like, I'd rather just split the bill and pay for myself. But he told me I think like a month into us dating that he doesn't believe in splitting the bill. It's okay if I pay for it. It's okay if he just pays for it. And he's like, I'm fine paying for every single date if you want to pay for a date, but I don't want to split the bill. And I'm like, okay. And it's like, I have to just like check myself and be like, no, this is okay. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't owe him anything. But it's a work in progress for sure. And I think this conversation kind of brings that up a lot for me, especially once you started talking about receiving and being on the receiving end. And it's like, I love receiving, but I also hate it at the exact same time. But I want to welcome it.
Me too. 100%. And sometimes I'm going into a theme of talking about intuition this month. And it's like, sometimes when we think of intuition, it's like always trusting our body's sign or our gut. And it's like, well, sometimes like actually the gut is telling you like, this is hard because it's uncertain, because it's different. We're shifting into a new strategy for life. And so like sometimes like in kayaking, like sometimes the gut is like fear. It's really hard to tell the difference between fear and intuition.
Yeah.
And so by becoming aware of that, and the more space we give ourselves to process our experiences and our emotions and stuff, the more familiar we are with the difference between fear, which is what you're experiencing, I'm like in some form with the watch receiving, versus intuition of like, this watch is going to be a bomb or something. Like it's, that's not, it doesn't sound like that's what's happening. It's like, oh my God, I don't know how to receive. Go away. You're actually repelling everything that you want.
Yeah, no, I really don't. Yeah, stop giving me everything I want. Make this more difficult because that's what I know. That's what I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with. Oh, this is gonna sound so bad. I'm familiar with men disappointing me.
Yeah.
And here comes my boyfriend. And he's not disappointing me, and I'm like, that's not right. But it is right. It is the way you should be treated. But it's unfamiliar. It's something I'm not used to. So my brain is like, hey, this isn't safe, even though like my logical brain is like, bruh, this is exactly what you want. This is exactly what you need. This is exactly how you should be treated by everyone. And you've just had run-of-the-mill shitty men in your life like come in and out the door. But that's gone. Like we have grown from that. We know not to accept those people in anymore. And this is your present. Your present is this guy who is amazing and who is there and who is everything that you wanted. So it is just so interesting to reflect within myself of like all these changes, and hopefully it's the audience listening, like you're able to pull it in for yourself too, and not just be like, wow, Jess and Becca, they're really, I see where they're going in their feminine. Like, no, turn it on to yourself and start to decipher like where it is that you have a hard time receiving, where you have a hard time accepting like your feminine side, and where you, because it is, I think for a lot of people, it's a lot more natural to be on the masculine side, and the people who do sit in their feminine energy much easier aren't really thinking about needing to sit in their masculine, because I'd say like as just more so from a gender perspective, like as a female sitting in her feminine energy, life is great. It's like I see other females that are able to do that naturally. It's just like it's easy for them. Like life is easy for them in that way because they are so open to outcomes and so accepting of everything that's coming their way. But for those of you listening who don't have that come easily, like me, like Becca, it's something you got to work at. It's a muscle you have to strengthen. And there's tactics, there's unplugged walks, there's taking breaths, there's meditations, there's the recognizing when you're shifting into what energy. Maybe it's certain activities that you're able to easily shift energies from masculine to feminine or feminine to masculine, and just start being able to pull it out for yourself so then you can create more of what it is you're wanting.
Yeah, the final like mic drop I feel like I've got to riff off of this. You said life is easy for them, and as even before you said that, I was like, I used to believe life was so hard, like everything has to be hard, and when we believe everything is hard and everything has to be hard, it's literally impossible for it to be easy, because when it's easy, you're like, what, that was a mistake, I just got lucky, like it can't be this easy. And so nothing in your life is going to come easy. So shift that. Fuck that. My mantra these days is life is easy. You're making it hard. So let it be easy. Life is easy. You're making it hard. So where are you making your life hard? And how can it be easier? Because so much of it is just like, it doesn't actually have to be that hard. I can just like, how easy can it be? How relaxed can I be? How chill can I be? Let it be easy.
Yeah. God, the luck part, that just strung a chord, because I'd say like my first 2 years of business, anytime I got a client, it was my first instinct was like, it's out of luck. And this is the first year where I've been like, no, I've worked for this. Like and like, yes, I've worked with my coach for over 3 years, and like she has helped me put systems in place and feel like I have an actual functioning business, and there's plans and strategies and everything with that. But even still, I know that my first 2 years, I would think this was luck. I got this client out of luck. And like I said, it has shifted this year alone. It took me 3 years to get there, but I'm finally like, oh no, this is not out of luck. Like I've done this work, and the clients that are for me are coming to me, and it is wonderful. And I'm very grateful for like the success that I've had just recently. I had a very successful June that I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. And it's continuing to build through July. And like I see everything unfolding in the exact way that I feel like I've been working towards for forever, but I'm not so stressed about it anymore. I'm not tightening my grip around it. I actually had to catch myself last month thinking, But like, oh, I need to buy everything that I need this month because I don't know what's coming next month. And I stopped myself and was like, no, I'm going to buy what I need this month. And then I'm going to buy what I need next month because there's going to be enough money for me to do so next month. And like, I'm about to sign a new client. And I was like, see, told you there was going to be more money coming this month. And it is just interesting, like how my thought process, I'm able to now catch them because I am recognizing where they're not like suiting me, as well as just like where I've fallen into more of it's to protect myself of no, like spend the money now. Like you have to be smart about your finances. Like don't spend on foolish things. Like do, unless like spend for rewards, but don't spend too much into that. And it's like, hey, no, like, believe that you are going to have clients. You are going to have a thriving business. You are going to have enough money to buy what you need as well as extra for the next month and the month after that and the month after that. So it is an interesting pattern that I've noticed within myself. And before this conversation is bringing it all up for me, but we're coming up to close to time. So I want to ask one last question and then wrap up the episode. And that is, what's one truth about femininity that you wish every 20-something knew earlier?
Oh, one question or one thing about femininity that I wish um, you don't have to do to receive. Sometimes you just get it. It just all works out.
I like it. Like you don't have to give to take. You don't have to do to receive. Good. Amazing. Thank you so much, Becca, for coming on How to 20-something. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you, work with you, ask questions, or just follow you?
Yeah, I'm very active on social media. My handle for Instagram is Wild Woman Becca, and then you can friend me or follow me on Facebook, Becca Ploener, Ploener. And yeah, I have an email list. I have a podcast, the Wild Woman Podcast. But I'm very, like I said, very active on Instagram and Facebook. So if you just message me there, I'm happy to connect you with anything that I've got going on. Yeah, I've got a group program that's kind of ongoing. It's called Reverie Rising. Basically, your dreams are coming true, and it's like for people who love adventure or inspired by adventure and want to learn about like making their dreams come true through femininity, body processing, connecting to their body. And it's for all genders. And yeah, we do a lot of metaphors, and like I really like guide you to listen to your own body wisdom. So I share my stories to inspire, and then help you like see your own wisdom and see your own power through a lot of nature metaphors and stories about adventures and multi-day trips and yeah, so there's lots of stuff thrown in there too about like building community and how to get into those things too, if that's something, or how to advance in those things as well. So yeah. So Wild Woman Becca, that's me. Thanks so much for having me on, Jess. This was awesome.
Yes, of course. And Becca's information will be linked in the show notes for you guys to access per usual. Otherwise, this does conclude another episode of How to 20-something. If you liked what you heard, if you learned something new about your feminine side or masculine side, or know someone who could benefit from listening, then please share this episode, send it to a friend, post it on social media, do something to help me spread the word that this podcast exists to help other 20-somethings navigate life. And as always, I can't wait to be in your headphones again next week with another brand new episode.